Here we go. Last topic in option E, neurobiology and behavior, further studies of behavior. Usually when we talk about behavior, we talk about a person's behavior or individual behavior. But if you zoom out the lens a little bit, we realize that humans, along with many other animals, are social creatures, and they have certain behaviors in groups. For example, honeybees. Honeybees live in groups of about 20,000 to 60,000 individuals, and there's actually a social hierarchy associated with them. There are 3 castes. The queen, of course, which is one female. Then there are the drones, who are fertile males, and then the workers, who are infertile females. Ant colonies also live in social groups, and they also have a queen, although with ants sometimes there may be several queens at once who are laying eggs concurrently. But the important thing to note here is that there is behavior with regard to a group dynamic, which is different from the individual dynamic, and there is a social hierarchy. Talking about natural selection and survival of the fittest, in the past we've talked about natural selection favoring certain individuals with certain phenotypes, but now we need to add to that and take into account that sometimes nature will select a whole group or a whole social set of organisms depending upon whether they work well together or not. Even though an ant colony is not one individual organism, it can be treated as one single unit that sort of lives or dies based on the success of the unit rather than the individual. And now let's talk a little bit about altruistic behavior. Have you ever wondered what the evolutionary motivation is for people and our animals to be kind to each other? Why are we nice to each other? Why do we help each other out? If everything's about survival of the fittest, dog eat dog, wouldn't we all just want to kind of kill each other and just, you know, be the winner? Well, it turns out that that's, you know, killing everyone else around you or putting everyone else at a disadvantage doesn't always help you as an individual. Sometimes the sum of the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and the group is better off when cooperation occurs and individual members help each other. So altruistic behavior, which does have a genetic root to it, obviously it's not 100% genetic. Most behaviors are approximately 50% genetic in nature and 50% environmental. But the point here is that something like helping or giving or altruistic behavior can actually be selected upon by nature and be an evolutionarily advantageous trait. What are some examples of altruistic behaviors in non-humans? Well, in monkeys, they will signal others with an alarm call if a predator is coming near. So you might think, well, big deal. Why does that matter? Well, when the monkey is signaling the alarm, it is drawing more attention to itself, and it's putting itself in mortal danger for the sake of the group and saving others. And that's what makes it interesting and unique. Wolves also, they have this pack mentality, and when they have a kill, they will bring food back to members of the pack who were not there for the kill. What would be the motivation for that? Wouldn't it be better for them to have all the food for themselves? Well, not exactly, because if all their pack members die, then it might be actually more difficult for them to survive on their own. So in summary, altruistic behavior helps social groups survive, which in turn helps them pass on more genes to their offspring, including the altruistic genes themselves. What does it mean to forage? Foraging behavior is the search and capture of food, which helps optimize homeostatic nutrition. And for some reason, there was some IB biology teacher who was on the curriculum committee who decided that it was really important for everyone to know the example of the bluegill fish foraging for Daphnia. What's interesting about bluegill fish is, like all other fish, they have to forage for food, in this case the food being Daphnia. But if predators are near who would like to dine on the bluefish fish themselves, they are less likely to pursue the Daphnia, whereas raccoons, on the other hand, even if they find themselves in a dangerous situation with a predator that could potentially be stalking them, if food is near, they're more likely to take the risk and go out and capture that food, even if it brings more attention to themselves. So the bottom line here is that you have a behavior which all animals engage in, which is foraging behavior, and one is more risk averse than the other, meaning in this example being the bluegill fish, and one animal is more risk prone, and those are the raccoons. And so the level to which a risk is engaged in for foraging behavior can be selected upon at a population level and at a species specific level. Ever wonder why girls put on makeup and boys try to work out and get their muscles bigger? Well, it has something to do with the fact that we like to attract members of the opposite sex towards us. And this is pre-programmed in us to a certain degree because in order to perpetuate our species, humans and other animals like to be able to have the best selection of available mates. And a peacock is really an exaggeration of this. So here's an example. You know, in humans, the girls are the ones that sort of get dolled up and put on the makeup and whatnot. But it turns out in peacocks, it's the males that are very brightly colored and big, and sort of their plumage is highly visible. And the reason why is because they're hoping that they're going to be more noticed by the females than the other males. So you have this sort of, over time, this evolutionary arms race where peacocks are getting more and more exaggerated in their presence and trying to outdo each other. So there's a selective pressure for favoring increased exaggeration of male traits in the peacock. Sometimes certain species of animals are known to have a specific behavior, but that doesn't mean that they exhibit that behavior at the same level 24/7. There could be a rhythmical or circadian variation to that. And the example here is the owl. We know that owls are nocturnal, and they're much more active and much more willing or able to forage during the nighttime. So if you were to measure them on an aggression scale, their aggression would go up in the evenings, and during the day, when they're more passive, that would go down. Why is it that rhythmic or circadian behavior patterns are evolutionarily advantageous? And one example would be isopods, which are like termites and roly-polies and those kind of critters. Remember, you always want to do something for a reason. You don't want to burn energy for no reason at all. And isopods need to be in a moist environment. If they're crawling around the forest floor and the forest floor is nice and moist, they're going to go around and forage for food. But if the forest floor starts to dry out, like it might between 12 and 2 during the daytime, they're going to slow down and conserve their energy because they're less likely to find food. So that sort of shows this daily rhythmical pattern between increased and decreased activity. By the way, has this connected to any previous lesson that we just discussed as far as animal behavior? This is also an example of kinesis. With regard to human infants, you ever notice that cute little babies will often babble, ba 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 ba, and then they'll giggle and laugh? Why would they do that? They do that because it's like they're practicing. They're practicing learning how to speak. But they're certainly not going to do it all the time, because probably if a child babbled all the time when they were awake, they would really annoy the parents and they would get less attention. So they sort of engage in this circular or rhythmic babbling behavior. That's it. That's the end of E6. Congratulations, higher level IB biology students. You are done with content. Great job.